We're today where I have one of my good friends here, Miss Cherise Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Lots of fun being here in Times Square.
Yes.
Weather's great. Life's good.
Craziness in New York. Haven't been here in a while, but I'm glad to be here.
It's awesome to be here. So I love your story, but our viewers don't know it as well as I do. Now, what I love about the recurring theme in your life is giving and educating. Let's start with something that I think is really cool. Let's start with your Grilled Cheese Foundation. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I started a nonprofit, 501c3, called the Grilled Cheese Foundation. And so I really probably need to start from the beginning. Born in the Florida Keys, you think people in the Keys are just rich kids, but they're not. Poverty, single father, 2 siblings, basically slept on the floor, open the refrigerator, there's no food there. I learned early in life that I had to kind of make it for myself. And so what I'm doing now is I'm paying it forward, and I'm helping other middle schoolers and high schoolers get them through high school and get them some college scholarships so they can continue their lives and hopefully succeed like I have.
I love it. I love that's part of your story. You didn't forget where you came from, and you're helping other people get there too. Now, you also love to educate people about financial literacy from youth all the way up through your radio show where you educate adults in the Ocala, Gainesville. Is there another market you're
Orlando.
In Orlando.
Yeah.
So you're right in my area
Central
too, right?
and North Florida. I've got it all covered.
Got it. So
Yeah.
what do you talk about in your radio show?
Yeah, so my radio show is Retirement Coffee Talk, and we guide viewers every week with things that are happening. I mean, if taxes are changing, Social Security is going bust, what the big story is on that. Should you or not take your pensions? All the different ways to invest your money because it's not cookie cutter. And so we just guide our viewers weekly, and it's really for those people in the retirement red zone, that 5 to 10 years before retirement, where we're transitioning from accumulation to preservation, and then basically and all the way through their retirement years.
I love it, and you've been a star. You've been on Fear Factor. You've named 40 under 40. You're killing it. But here's what I like the most: you are an investment advisor and a financial planner. So you have a fiduciary duty to protect your clients. I don't think everyone watching this might understand the difference between an advisor down the street that doesn't have a fiduciary duty and how they might not have their best interest at hand. Tell me about that.
Sure. So the state of our industry, basically, you would think every financial advisor is supposed to protect you and guide you and give you the right appropriate information, but they don't. And that's just history, and it repeats itself. Go back to your advisors and say, hey, listen, are you a fiduciary? Okay, that's great if you're a fiduciary. Now I want you to prove it because we get a lot of actors out there. And ask them to provide your ADV form. That's Apple David Victor. It's a form, it has our name on it, not the company's name, it's our name. And then it kind of tells your whole story, right? And the last thing to make sure that you're with a great fiduciary advisor is make sure you have an exit strategy so that the next market meltdown, you don't lose all your money. There's no reason why in retirement or pre-retirement you should be losing 30 to 40% in your investment.
Absolutely. Now here's one thing I really want to talk about because you mentioned one of my favorite terms, the retirement red zone. Now here's the thing. The people watching may or may not realize that they probably had a really good, well-intentioned advisor at a bank or through their company that helped them accumulate their wealth. It's a very different skill set than distributing your wealth and protecting it, because once you retire, you don't want to have to go back to work. Tell me a little bit about specialization in distributing your wealth.
Income makes the world go round. Everybody likes that paycheck when they're working. You've collected the paycheck your whole entire life. You retire, you want to continue this paycheck, right? We don't want to take a pay cut. We want to live our life, enjoy our grandkids, go travel the world. But you also want to make sure that this distribution process, you don't take too much money. So I had recently a radio caller call in, and it really bothered me because he said, hey, Charisse, 10 years ago I had this advisor. I had $1 million. 10 years later, today, I only have $500,000. And he says, he promised me the world, I was going to make all this money, but he never actually had a tax plan. He never talked to me about Social Security like you do, or pension planning. And he said, he didn't protect me from the last market meltdown. And I was able to take 8% a year. It didn't make any sense to me. So this distribution part of your life, you should not be taking 8% from your investments. You really should be considering having a bucket strategy, taking a little bit here, a little bit there, but there's actually some rules you have to follow, and that's why you work with a fiduciary financial planner so that you can come up with this plan in this distribution phase of life. You do not want to have big losses when you're entering retirement. That is how people run out of money, and the number one fear in retirement is running out of money.
Absolutely, and people are living longer, which is great, but you got to have the money to take care of yourself. And just watching CNBC and trading on the stock markets, a lot of people think diversification is having multiple mutual funds or something like that. Tell us about some ways people can protect their downside and when they put their money, in somewhere that can still earn some interest.
Sure. So when you're working with a financial advisor and you're asking about whether you're a fiduciary or not, you need to make sure they can offer mutual funds, like the no-load mutual funds, so you save money there. Exchange-traded funds, I love those. There's no reason for people not to be in exchange-traded funds. Like if you have a financial advisor and you're all in exchange-traded funds, you have an awesome advisor. And if you don't, you really need to start interviewing and asking questions, right? There's annuities out there, but it's not a one-size-fit-all for annuities. We got to have income plan. We have real estate investment trusts. The sky's the limits. I provide that to my clients. I protect their income. I help them grow their money, and I help them reduce taxes on their wealth. And that's what it's about, keeping every dime in your pocket so you can leave a legacy or have a nice push for later on down the road when maybe you need it for long-term care or something like that. So you have to change the way that you think. It's not about having these double-digit returns anymore. It's about having an average, easy return. You want baby bumps along the way. You don't need these monster drawdowns and this roller coaster ride. Roller coaster rides don't work anymore. We're not in the 80s and the 90s. We're in the 21st century here, and things are changing, and you have to have an advisor that's keeping up with the changes.
I love it. I'm sure there's some people watching this right now who say, I want to talk to her. How do they reach you?
Yes. You can go to my website, Zinnia Wealth, Zinnia like the flower, Zinnia, wealth.com. There's an awesome ebook. And it's basically those steps to prepare you for retirement. Even if you're in retirement, you might have skipped a couple of phases. This book is amazing. It's been created in 37 pages. It's absolutely complimentary. I highly recommend you go to zinniawealth.com and download it for free.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back after this.